So please help me give a warm welcome to Ken DeVore.
Good morning.
Good morning.
And David might not remember, but he was one of my instructors at the University of Idaho Executive Development Program, and he did a great job. That's where I first met David, and I was very impressed. So I was happy to be able to participate on this panel. What a distinguished panel, what a distinguished organization. Really thrilled to be able to be here today and to get a little closer look at this organization. Harry's been telling me about this organization for a long time, and so now I got a first-hand look. So as David said, I'm Ken DeVore. I direct the Edison Smart Connect program, which is Southern California Edison's smart metering initiative. And basically, I'm going to try to take you through what that initiative is and how we're importantly trying to engage customers to take advantage of this over time. So one of the things I have to do, though, is thank my partners in this journey, Harry Hutchison, who's our Vice President of Customer Service Operations, Lisa Catalani, our Vice President of the Business Customer Division, because I am really changing their world. More Harry's world than anyone in terms of operations. And so Harry and I are really linked at the hip in this, and we really are partners in, you want to call it crime, but I think partners in a great journey. And it really is going to impact his organization operationally. But more than that, they both think about what you're going to do for the customer. They know they can deal with what it's going to do for the organization. They know they'll be able to accomplish those goals. But we're all very focused and sometimes lose some sleep over how we're going to engage the customer and ensure they get the full benefits of smart metering and the smart grid overall. So I thank them for being here. I thank Harry for the invitation to speak today. Let's go to the first slide, please. So a little bit about Southern California Edison. Most of you know these facts. This is just the vitals, but it shows a little bit of our service territory and how we basically border with PG&E on the north and San Diego to the south, of course, and then of course there are about, I think about 10 municipals in our service territory, some that are venturing into smart metering and some that aren't. But the three big utilities overall are well within their programs of installing smart meters. If you think about it, I think PG&E is going to install close to 10 million meters altogether with electric and gas. And you heard this morning from Mr. Knight that they're going to install about 1.4 million down in San Diego. We're going to install about 5 million. And you'll probably hear from the gas company at some point. There's actually, in our service territory, going to be installing about 6 million gas meters. So a lot of smart meter, a lot of investment that's going on in this state at this time. We pride ourselves on being an award-winning energy efficiency and demand response and a leader in that regard. We feel that we're leading the industry. There are always utilities that will make those claims back and forth, but we feel we've been in this business a long time, energy efficiency, demand response, and certainly our smart metering program we want to put right on that same pedestal with those programs as well. And next year we will be actually experiencing our 125th year in business, and we're really excited about that and plan lots of things and activities around that. Let's go to the next slide, please. So, smart metering, smart grid are driven, as you know. David talked about this, and we heard a little bit this morning from our first panel about a confluence of regulatory drivers, both at the national level, at the state level, and certainly with our regulatory bodies who have pushed to have smart metering in place. If you look back in the early 2000 time period, if you look post-crisis in California, smart metering really came to the largest customers first. Those commercial and industrial customers, they got kind of an early form of smart metering and still do that today. Lisa's group actually manages that program. So there's about 12,000 customers that were the premier. They were the first really kind of smart customers. Now, it's not the technology necessarily we see today. It is a lot of different technology, some wireless, some wired, and otherwise. But it really got the idea started in the state. And really what the commission has wanted to do, the California Public Utilities Commission, is provide all customers choice and really move us all towards dynamic rates over time. That's really what they want to do. If you know kind of our load profile in California, basically how our load is served, it's fairly inefficient in California, and it's very spiky around air conditioning usage. So it's particularly during the summer, not this summer because it was a little bit cooler, at least in the southern part of the state. It can be very spiky, and we have to be ready on the demand side for that spikiness. However, it's inefficient in terms of the overall load profile. So if we can get folks to really understand through dynamic rates, through incentives, and through other types of programs and services how to shift their usage and basically then be incented to do that, we can improve the overall use of the system, and you'll see how we do that a little bit later. Go ahead to the next slide. So, how people are using energy is changing. You heard a little bit about electric vehicles this morning. There are a few out there. Does anybody have an electric vehicle that's in this room? Okay, so that's the kind of thing we're trying to find out at Southern California Edison. Who's going to buy them? When are they going to buy them? And where are they going to be? And do they cluster around certain communities, certain cities? You know, we need to know more about that. And why do you think we need to know that? Because they can be a very heavy impact on the electric system. In fact, some vehicles like this Tesla, this very fancy electric roadster, it can put a load on a system that's equal to another home. So some of you, and some of you are going to buy a couple of those Teslas and park them up in the driveway. You know, that's going to be something you need to think about soon, because you're going to have a new panel and take time and basically do some permitting and all that to get ready. So we're not a lot of electric vehicles here now, but we're looking out at the future. We project that there could be in 2015 as many as 250,000 vehicles in our service territory. And that's based off of going and doing some surveying at auto shows and talking to people who are early adopters on numerous other technologies such as solar and energy management systems. So how people use energy is definitely changing. Next slide. Where they get their energy is changing. So we are starting to see, you know, and how many of you have seen some of this distributed generation in some places, like Walmarts that have, you know, some of these, basically the type of activity that you're seeing here in terms of wind-generated power on a small scale, solar power. You're going to see a very, very high increase in that. In fact, our applications for residential solar are up something like 40%, just year over year. It's just incredible. So the distributed generation that you're going to see, how people are kind of taking energy into their own control, that tells us a lot about people and what they want to do and their behavior around energy and how they want to, in more instances than you might think, own that responsibility. And certainly own that responsibility even if they are on the grid. And I'll talk about how smart metering helps that as we go through it. So all sizes, all forms. And next slide, please. So what I'm focused on is the network is changing. And this is really about more than just a meter exchange program, but a whole new engagement and relationship. We're going to install, we started last September in the city of Downey, not far from here, installing smart meters. And that was our goal was by the end of the year to have about 150,000 meters in place. We're now sitting at 1.6 million. We'll cross that probably today. We're really excited about that. We're right on target with where we want to be in putting the meters in. But we haven't changed the network yet. We haven't really changed anything. We've basically done a meter exchange at this point, and all the services that come behind that meter that I'm going to be outlining for you, we're going to be turning those on in about 3 weeks. And we're going to be doing it in a sequenced fashion. But we are so excited about that because this is delivering on the promise to customers. This is what we built smart metering on, was this promise. So that's coming very soon. Okay, next slide. Edison has a vision. Our smart grid vision really is to develop and deploy a reliable, secure, economic, efficient, safe, and environmentally friendly grid and electric system. And really smart metering is a step in that direction. It's maybe one of the first steps and kind of linkages, if you would, to the smart grid overall. This shows kind of a comprehensive vision of that and how all those pieces kind of come together. If you'll go to the next slide, really as we look at it, there's these kind of Olympic rings, we call them, of renewable, distributed energy, basically storage, grid control, and asset optimization. As David was saying, there are many smart pieces of the grid in place right now and have been for many years. So we need to leverage those in new and more types of arenas than we ever have before. And some of that means even bringing greater security and privacy and really control elements to that as well. Workforce readiness, this is one that's kind of unique to us. We talk about it a lot, but how do we actually make the workforce smarter? How do we improve our safety? How do we improve our environmental touch points? By really bringing elements of intelligence to the worker. Smart metering, that's my world. Smart customer solutions and PEVs, that's an extension of the connected home as we move throughout the future. Next slide. So, we really believe that this innovation can deliver and will deliver environmental benefits and customer value. Our business case is built on both operational and, if you would call it, societal benefits over time. We know we'll get the operational benefits. We know it will change our world. We know meter reading is going away as we know it today. It has a high labor impact, and so it will be done. It will be done remotely. But getting those societal benefits, getting the demand response, getting customers to participate, that's going to be the challenge as we go forward.